environmental concerns. Obviously, if you're representing a commercial client in purchasing a property, the environmental concerns almost always come up. So here, when is it necessary? Whether you're buying vacant land, older commercial or industrial land, and bank required. So bank required is anytime you're getting a loan on a commercial property and not buying it all for cash, I could almost guarantee you a phase one environmental report is going to be required. And so here in our kind of case study, one of the retail spaces that's on the first floor is a dry cleaning facility. So keep that in mind as we kind of go through this. So a phase one environmental, what is it? Here quoted from CERCLA, the purpose of the phase one assessment is to identify really sources of environmental contaminants. Okay. Those are things that are here, asbestos containing material, biological hazards, lead-based substances, etc. Those are also known in the industry. I got to get the word exactly correct, because sometimes it's, well, there's two things. There's volatile organic compounds, but in general, these are here, recognized environmental conditions. Okay, RECs. So recognized environmental conditions are essentially what you're trying to identify through a phase one. That's generally the way, the easiest way to discuss this. And recognized environmental conditions are things such as asbestos, any type of hazardous material, radon gas levels, et cetera, et cetera. So phase one, and we'll go into the next slide too, but phase one is very limited by really the environmental company that performs it only kind of does like a investigation into and research into like historical data, right? So they'll look at any type of permits, like what it was used for in the past, whether there's any history of like underground tanks, any history of way back when it could have been used, as maybe even things that are common, like a dry cleaner, an auto body shop, a gas station. Those things are all like red flags. So a phase one is going to look into that and first determine whether there's any concern at all through like historical data and research. Because if you don't have that, then you don't really need to go to the next step, which would be a phase two. How much does it cost? Ooh, that's probably an old number there, 1,500 plus. I think that's still possible, but adjust for inflation, we'll make it 2,000 plus. So that's something that's typically something that a bank is always going to require. Now, sometimes clients will ask me, well, the seller, has a phase one that they used when they were buying the property, and maybe they're, selling it and in a pretty quick amount of time. So the phase one is fairly new. I haven't seen many times where a bank isn't going to want its own new phase one. So unlike, sometimes it's similar to like a survey, right, where you need a newer one, but sometimes you could get away with an older one. Here, you typically will need a phase one, regardless of whether there is an older one that the seller may have.